name's Catherine Baker, and this is my colleague Ricky Hudson, and we will start very shortly to take you through the presentation. Well, a very warm welcome to our Seer Sustainable Development Goals How Shop. A How Shop is our new series of workshops that focus on the how. So there's so many opportunities with data, but how do we leverage those opportunities to really make a difference? So what we're going to go through today is just very quickly who we are for those people who might be new to Seer. Then we're going to take a deep look at the Sustainable Development Goals data asset that we've created on Seer. And then we've put together 3 easy next steps that you can take to see whether this could help your organization. So who are we? For anyone unfamiliar with Seer, we are a civic tech startup, and we're solving the problem of access to data for communities, not-for-profits, and all levels of government. We're also helping to build data capabilities to bridge the data divide. So the Sustainable Development Goals, what are they? The UN Sustainable Development Goals are pitched to describe the world we want to live in. There are 16 main goals that range from poverty to no poverty to gender equality and everything in between. And then the 17th goal, partnerships, acknowledges the fact that no one can affect real world change on their own. And each of the goals have a range of indicators which are essentially examples of, this is what we mean by no poverty, this is what we mean by gender equality. Basically, in terms of moving forward with these goals, data has been identified as a cross-sector enabler of how we can actually make a difference. So we can use data to actually look at what levers we need to pull to shift those indicators to where we need them to be.
So as Kat alluded to, the Seer Data Lab recently developed a new data asset. The data asset consolidates all federally available open data against all SDG indicators currently mapped across the 17 goals. Here's what it looks like, and you can see all the various indicators are nestled in by goal type. For the house shop, we wanted to show you how you could develop an evidence base using the goals and the data asset. So thank you for all of you who were able to provide a response to the survey that we sent out prior to the event. We noticed that a number of people were working across multiple goals, but there was a slight skew towards no poverty. So for the example, what we've done is we've developed an evidence base using Wollondilly Shire Council as the location and no poverty. For those unfamiliar with what a suitcase is effectively a folder, as Kat mentioned, and it's broken down into 2 sections. One is where you tell your data story, and one is the insights themselves. So in this example, you'll see that in the suitcase, you can add your own images, links, branding. You can link out to resources, add your own title, commentary related to your work, multimedia. You might want to put in infographics, links to services, etc. And then for the evidence base, we've broken it down into 5 areas, 5 key data types. So the first suite of insights in this particular example are community indicators. So these are all localized to Wollondilly LGA, and they look at a variety of things, including youth engagement, employment and economic factors, family, care and engagement within the community. It also looks at crime. We have a variety of crime stats, and that's to give people a sense of the health of the community and maybe areas to focus on when thinking about the goals. The second section are the indicators that we've built based on the open data available to the goals, of which there are 4 for no poverty. And these ones relate specifically to government spending on related services. For this, we've added in open data supplementary insights, which you'll see here. So that's the third component. And they've got insights on related things, including homelessness, household stress, nationally as your benchmark. And then The next component, the fourth component, is making that a bit more localized to Wollondilly, so you can see the local context. Finally, there are two other components that are built using Seer data models. One is our population forecasts, and this is for Wollondilly and its associated SA2s. So that's a statistical area about the size and population of a suburb. In Wollondilly, there's 4, but that can vary depending on the LGA. For example, ACT being a very large local government area has upwards of 100. So it does vary. The population forecast is provided in 5-year increments and also has legacy data for the past 10 years as well. You can further explore this by age bracket and by sex. And finally, we've got the similar communities model. So the similar communities model looks at your LGA or community of concern and compares it to the most similar communities, both nationally and at a state level. And it looks at a range of different indicators, including CIFA index, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander populations, cultural and linguistic diversity. And the idea here is to give communities an opportunity to collaborate with similar communities on a variety of pieces of work in ways that may not otherwise have been done. I will get to the 6th component next, but I just wanted to share with you where we think this really becomes quite powerful. As the owner of a Suitcase, you're able to share this publicly, even to people who have don't even have a Seer account. So this is where you would get that link. And what you might want to do is add that link to your website, so you get community engagement. You might want to add it to the SDG Portal, where you can put in your own projects. So that will allow people to come in, look at all their insights, read your data story. They won't be able to edit it unless they have an account and they're connected to your particular organization, but they will be able to view it. And this is where we think it becomes really exciting. What you might find quite interesting about the Sustainable Development Goals is at a federal level, there's still actually a lot of work to be done. So not all indicators outlined by the UN are currently have data available for tracking. And actually, quite surprisingly, there's 2 areas that have no open data currently available, which is why it doesn't feature on the data asset. And some don't feature very many indicators currently tracked. So for example, you can see where there's a little, I hope you can see my cursor, but for example, zero hunger, there's only 1, which is quite surprising. I was recently asked about food stability by one of my colleagues, and we were trying to find some information around that, and actually it was quite surprising to learn that in the Zero Hunger Goal 2 there was only 1 available. Sadly, environmental areas are very woefully tracked at the moment, so there's actually no tracked indicators in the Australian context for climate action. And life below water and life on land, they actually focus on things like fisheries and farming, and not necessarily anything deeply or intrinsically linked to climate. One other area which is quite interesting is this Goal 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. It also doesn't have any tracked indicators at an Australian federal level at this stage. So that's where we've come in thinking the similar communities model is of interest to people. So finally, we've launched a new self-service feature. Here you will be able to enable private data sharing. We can work with you to co-design data templates aligned to the goals, and your contributors can add data as they go, and this will be brought onto the platform, and you will be able to build insights using that as a data set that is secure based on our trust model of data collaboration. You can also bring on existing private data sets, and that will enriching your story and help you provide a deeper narrative. And if you're thinking to co-design a new data template with us, you would be able to bring in those particular insights, and they would be trackable over time against your work for against the goals. So your community, if you think of, you know, if you're working in council, you have your residents that might be interested in engaging, understanding what your LGA is doing against the goals. Your funders, funding partners might be wanting to track your progress based on the work that you're doing with them, or government agencies. So this allows a live and real-time local context against what's happening to really shift the needle on those Sustainable Development Goals. So I'm going to hand back over to Kat, and we look forward to your questions a little bit later in the session.
So I just wanted to summarize what the data asset essentially is we have a main suitcase, which has all 17 sustainable development goals and all of the data available in one suitcase. And then what you can do is duplicate that and edit it to create this evidence base that Ricky's just shown you. And I just wanted to quickly share the story of what a suitcase is, because that's quite a common question that we get. So it actually came from one of our very early customers. When we were showing her the concept of Seer, she said, it's like unpacking my suitcase to go on my data journey. And we really loved that, and we adopted it, and folders on the Seer platform are still called suitcases to this day. So what we wanted to do is take this data asset that's available and let people use it and modify it to track their progress against the goals, and to share that progress with others, and bring their own data to also build a richer story around that. So the next steps you can take is we are going to be offering everybody the ability to access a suitcase of the 2 goals of their choice for the next month for free. And as part of that, a one-on-one session with a Seer support team member to actually say, this is what it is, how could you use it, what are your objectives, and where are you trying to head with this. So that's included as well. And then if you aren't already a Seer Standard subscriber, we just wanted to let you know that that is a free subscription level that you can access. And that's a really great way to get started on your data journey. You also get a lot of support with that, and video tutorials to help kickstart. So we really did want to field your questions today. And we do just have a question that's come through, Ricky. Can you give any examples of how we would align to the goals and upload our own data to track against the goals?
Sure. So what we would recommend is coming on to one of those one-to-one sessions. You would need to let us know what goals you're looking at, and we will take you through not just the indicators that are tracked with open data at a federal level, but we can take you through all of the indicators that are against each of the goals, even the ones that aren't currently tracked. And the way that we see this being really beneficial is we would work with you to co-design a data template. So if you think of it just like a spreadsheet, we can help you fill out those columns, design it with you, and then we would recommend ways of how you might want to collect that. And that can be provided by, we have managed access with the new self-service data sharing tool. So your contributors don't necessarily need to have the Seer account themselves. They would provide insert their data. That would then come up onto the platform. You would build out those stories. And where I personally think it would be very powerful is for people that are reporting against the goals to stakeholders and community, because that will, your private data would be live and evolving and trackable over time. And that's where we really see the value there. So you have the evidence, you would build out your baseline against, where your location or organization is today, where the country is trying to head, then build a data collection that tracks against it over time, and then have that publicly available as a public link, either on your site or in the SDG portal. I can click on this little link to show you if you're not familiar with the SDG Project Portal. So you can very simply add your projects in here. And also that's another way to collaborate with like-minded organizations. So you'll see there's a variety of, you can go to the projects and you can connect with organizations that might be tracking against like goals.
We've got a couple of other
Sure.
questions coming through, Ricky.
Sure.
Thanks, Elaine, for saying this is an amazing initiative. For organisations that are new to the global goals, how do they identify the goals that are reflective of their core business? And that's a great question. I'll take a stab at answering it, Ricky, but feel free to add. Sure. I think the key is to really look at the indicators within the goals, because they are really what demonstrates what's meant by each of the goals, and some of them are a little bit clearer in terms of being actionable. Most organizations we talk to aren't trying to contribute to all goals. They have, as you say, picked a few that resonate with their core business values and running projects to contribute to those goals. Would you add anything to that, Ricky?
No, I thought that was really perfect. Inherently, a lot of place-based and NFPs and agencies will kind of have a sense. There's a lot of government initiatives at the moment that I'm just thinking of, what's it called? The Smarter Places initiative in New South Wales, for example, where aligning to one of the SDG goals in your location probably makes a lot of sense. Because really, as Kat said at the beginning, the purpose of the goals is to create a world that we want to live in. And people on the school, you do all sorts of amazing work with communities across the country. So making sure that the goal that you're aligning to, or goals that you're aligning to, are not a distraction from the work that you're already doing, but actually add value. And I think that's really important when considering it. But we are more than happy to help you on that journey and help you work out what's going to be the right fit for you, even if it's just a conversation around it more broadly.
And Camille has actually posted in the chat something that's really exciting. She would love to chat further about life on land and life on water, wildlife conservation tracking. She's working on a solution to collate this data at a federal level to track progress towards those goals. We'd love to hear more about that if you'd be happy to share, Camille.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure if...
Sorry, I am here. I'm just moving rooms because compete Zoom space. Oh, sorry, I am still here. Can't turn on my video though. So I'm working on a solution called Xylo Systems, and we're working with conservation organisations across Australia. So large conservation organisations, zoos, wildlife park sanctuaries, governments and businesses to track progress towards various state and federal conservation goals, the SDGs and the AHU biodiversity targets. So would love to chat to you guys further. I think we've got a lot of crossover and potential for collaboration.
Awesome. That sounds really amazing. Yeah, I must say, I'm so thrilled to hear that someone is looking at this in a very meaningful way, it sounds like, because it's such an unfortunate gap in Australia's tracking at the moment. And I think that's really exciting. We'd love to speak with you about that and how we can collaborate on that with you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, on a deeply personal level, I think Ricky and I were both felt quite shocked when we were able to look at the data available on the SDG website, and there just wasn't anything there for those goals. We've also got a comment here from Lynette, who said, thanks for a useful session. I assume the data you use is Australian. Yep, this is all Australian Sustainable Development Goal data. Is there any possibility of including data from overseas for specific goals and indicators?
Lynette, that's a really great question. And I mean, yes, in theory, the way that it would be using that data sharing tool. And we could obviously help you bring, design a data template, bring that onto the platform and build out those insights and help you create that story in the context of where you are. But predominantly it is focused on Australia, but that's where the data sharing comes into effect, because And also, sometimes it's good to have that baseline. So you'll see in the example suitcase, we do the national, we look at national, but then we brought it down into the local context. So sometimes there would be really quite a good case to do the same for different countries. Maybe I know that we've spoken before, Lynette, maybe the UK, for example, compared to Australia, for example.
Really appreciate everybody engaging with the content and asking questions, and for their time today. It's been lovely to see everybody's interest in this. It seems like a lot of organizations are interested and perhaps don't know where to start. So the next thing that you can expect from us is to receive an email that will link you through to the evidence-based example suitcase that Ricky showed you earlier. And then you can have a good look around and play around with what the data is in there, what you can see, and then we can set up a one-on-one session if you'd like to take a deeper dive. So thanks everybody for your time today. We wanted to keep it short and to half an hour because we know everybody's time poor and a little bit Zoom fatigued at the moment. So I hope everybody's keeping safe and well, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day and talk soon.